Now, moving on to the fourth one. If you haven't watched the 1 to 3, I've already done for the first tribe, second tribe, and third tribe. Watch the other video, the previous one. Now, we're on the fourth one, which is the tribe of Judah. Right, so we finished Reuben, Simeon, Levi, like I just told you. So go back and watch the previous video where I have all 3 in one. Okay, so you don't get lost. So we're dealing with the 12 tribes here, right? The real names of the 12 tribes. Now let's go into Judah. Judah, she said, and she conceived again and bore a son and said, now I will praise the Heavenly Father, right? Therefore, she called his name Judah. Then, that was Genesis 29:35. Okay, so Judah knows. Now, the main word we want to focus on is Judah, right? Judah, Yehuda is to celebrate in the ancient Hebrew tongue, right? When they celebrate, they say Yehuda. Let me show you a picture of what they're doing. You see what they just did now is the praising. So the the whole act is called Yehuda or Yehuza, right? So that's because of what they are saying with their mouth. That's the Yehuda. So when you're doing that, it's called your Yehuda. So when you are praising, it's called Asher. She said, now I will praise the Heavenly Father. I will Yehuza or Yehuda, right, for the Heavenly Father. These people, they are still out there, y'all. They're still out there, as you can tell. And they're living their lives like normal. Like they don't know, they don't realize, they don't actually even know they are the children of Israel. And they're doing exactly what was used to happen, right? So when they're praising, they are Yehuza. They call it Yehuza, right? Or Yehuda, right? So it's the same thing. So now the fourth son was called Yehuda because the mother said, I will praise, Yehuza, right? I will Yehuda. Okay, y'all understand now, Yehuda. Let's move on to the next one. Dan, right, which is the fifth born. Now Dan, Rachel is a mom, right? So Rachel said, God has judged my, let's zoom in a little bit and see. God has judged my case, and he has also heard my voice and given me a son. Therefore, she called his name Dan, right? So the main word is that God, right, has judged my case. He's judged my case, right? Versus the other lady, she's a rival too, right? He's judged my case and also heard my voice. So the other one is going to be disappointed. It's going to dan. In the ancient Hebrew tongue, to be disappointed is to dan, right? So she said now, then she called his name, the son's name, Dan, right? Because the rival sister is going to be disappointed because God has judged Mike, has judged her case, right? These ladies, they're just naming. Even Google Translate. Let's pull up one of the ancient Hebrew tongues. Right? To be disappointed is called to dan, right? To danile. Like you've been disappointed, you danile, right? I couldn't get like the actual word to disappoint, dan. Google Translate don't really have everything in it. But the main operating word here for disappoint is to dan, right? As you can see over there, that's a Bantu language now, right? That's a Bantu language right there. So you need to understand, you need to know this. Okay, it's hard to learn it, but it's best to know it, right? Because that's the language the Heavenly Father in heaven, even now, they speak that language, okay? So anyway, Dan. Then Rachel said, she said, judge my case, so she's going to be done. She's going to be disappointed. Okay. So you need to just see what's going on here. Now let's move on to the next one. Naphtali. Now the people who speak this language already get this drift now. Naphtali. And then Rachel said, with great wrestlings, right? I have wrestled with my sister, and indeed I have prevailed. So she called him Naphtali. Now, in the ancient Hebrew tongue, when you are wrestling, strife is like a friction. It's not a physical fight, but it's a friction, right? When you are in a friction, like you're not talking to each other, that kind of a friction fight thing. I don't know whether to call it a fight. It's called buhlali, right? So now, this mother decided to call the son Naphtali, because she has wrestled with the sister. You must remember now, these two sisters here that are giving birth to all the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 kids of Israel, right? So these 12 kids are from the two mothers. So they are rivals, friction, right? So to be a rival, not physical fighting, but buhlali, right? Buhlali. That's what's in ancient Hebrew tongue. When sisters are, or nations, whatever it is, buhlali between the two. It's called, but the English just says wrestling. It's not like wrestling, as you can see, WWE. No, it's friction, right, between two sisters. So I've wrestled in my wrestling with my sister, and I indeed prevailed. So she called him wrestling, buhlali, right, buhlali. I don't know if I did even put the correct spelling in the ancient Hebrew tongue. So, but yeah. So they were really arguing, fighting in the house, like not physical fighting, I must say it again, but it's the friction type of fight. It's called buhlali, right, buhlali. That's the friction type of fight in the ancient Hebrew tongue, right? Or culture, or whatever you want to call it. Buhlali, there it is. That's how you say it. Buhlali is friction, wrestling. When the word wrestling is just misleading, because people think of WWE as if they're wrestling. No, it's not that type. It's the friction type of wrestling. This one where you're not talking to each other and whatever not. Okay. Now, that concludes buhlali. Now we're gonna talk about Gad, right? The next one, Gad. And the Leah said, a troop comes. So she called his name Gad, right? So we are on 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's number 7 of the 12, right? So let's go back into it and see. We're moving on. We were almost at 12 now. So a troop comes. So the Leah said, a troop comes. So she called his name Gad, right? A troop. Think about it now. I know a lot of ancient Hebrew tongue people speaking, they say Gad is a borrowed language. I'll explain it to you right now. It's not a borrowed language. English actually copied from here. English borrowed from ancient Hebrew tongue, right? So, and Leah said, a troop comes. So she called his name Gad. Right, Gad. This is what Gad is. Now, in the ancient Hebrew tongue, right, a guard is called Gada. Gada. Now, I know ancient Hebrew people are going to say, no, Gada comes from the English word called guard. No, it's the other way around. English was invented from the ancient Hebrew tongue. So, Gada, when you Gada something you're looking after, you're watching over it, you are Gada it, right? English came, so okay, we're going to call it guard, right? They borrowed, it's not the other way around. English borrowed from ancient Hebrew tongue, Gada. There's a troop, to Gada, right? To look over something. A troop comes. These ladies were just naming names, whatever is happening, they just put a name to the name of the kid, right? Now, here's something else I want to just mention. Dan, the one up there we discussed already. You must be careful what you name your kids. I'm just digressing a little bit now, because Dan got disappointed. Now, at the end, in book of Revelations, Dan is not going to get inheritance because, he led the children of Israel led astray, and the Heavenly Father just cut him off from the inheritance. Of the 12 tribes, he is not there. Instead, the 2 little kids of Joseph, they divided, and then they divided into 2, make up the 12 tribes. But anyway, so Dana, he went all the way to Dana, even in his old life. Anyway, so now next we're going to be discussing Ashe. I shall be happy now. You already know where I'm going with, right? Ashe. All right, so subscribe so you can get the updates on the next one. I'll be posting probably next week, which going to be 8 till, I think, 10. Yeah, 8, 9, 10. I post 3 at a time. Anyway, I hope you all understood this. These are the real children of Israel. These are the real original names before everything started changing. Anyway.